Welcome to the CatchMark Community Local Musician Spotlight. I'm your host, Amy Yonkman. In each episode, I'll bring you stories, inspirations, and journeys of the amazing local musicians in our community. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Brian Mahan, local White Lake area musician. We're going to dive into his musical journey, some of his influences. He's going to tell us some funny stories. I feel like it. He's going to tell us what keeps him creative on and off the stage. So let's get started. Thanks for being here, Brian.
Oh, this is a blast. I love it already.
We don't have a show for you today, but we'll have a different kind of show, I think. So, Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do in this area and the local music that you play.
So I taught at Whitehall for almost 30 years, coached, taught across from Mike Snell, a musician, and we got into that because we actually wanted an excuse to get out of class. And we're like, let's just make a concert. And what are they going to do, argue with us? So raised a family here, and then I had been in music. I'm from Kalamazoo area. I'd been in music, but mostly singer, jumping in with people here and there and doing that. And when Mike was across from me, I started doing other stuff. I'd been a piano player as a child, but even my therapist can't help me play piano again. Like I see it and I start shaking a little bit. Just getting slapped over the hand of the ruler.
Practice.
Well, when you do it wrong, and that's back in the day where like whap, you're like, oh, yeah, don't need that. So I started playing bass guitar because that's what they needed, and then it just kind of kept, rolling, stoning it, and just getting bigger and bigger like a snowball. And then we started refining our sound, and then we kind of figured out, okay, we really shouldn't do this. We should do more of this. And then I was always very community focused basically 90% of what the educators do is fundraising for like food pantries. And that's just from the background of mine of being not as the stablest of house setups at a point in my life. And it went from there. And my son is a musician. My wife is a musician. My daughter was in a high school band. I grew up in a house where the Beach Boys and Barry Manilow, which dates me, but if you were growing up in the 70s, you had that. We're always on a stereo in the house. There was always a stereo going. So through high school, saw lots of concerts, listened to, it's the 80s. We were near Kalamazoo, so you got college radio. You heard U2 when it was released. We're all like, what is this war? This is amazing. And REM and all the cool underground bands. You had the pop, which was still, at the time I was annoyed by it. Now I know every word. But it was great. It was very fun. The music was fun. It was very interactive. And so as we do this, Kurt Huizinga, we taught across from each other. I always say he was my work wife because we shared a lab for 10 years. We always say, well, if you're looking out in the audience and you see people nodding their head, you're doing it right. Yeah. If you look out in the audience and not that people have to pay attention to you, but they aren't at least looking or nodding, then you need to pick a different song. Yeah. Like, because we're performing for you. Yep. And so let's make this fun.
Yeah. So you mentioned going to concerts. How many do you think you've been to?
I couldn't give a real accurate count. More than 150 probably. Just recently my wife and I went down to go see this was bucket list, Billy Joel and Sting in St. Louis. We were in the 17th row. It was like you could see him play, you watched him move, and the screens were, wow. We're going to see David Gray, who seldom comes to America. We're going to see him in Nashville, and then we'll go to the Opry, and we bring our kids to concerts. My son was 9 when we took him to Green Day. My daughter went to Green Day. They were young. We do family concerts. Music is just, it's kind of, there's always something going on musically.
Yeah. It's a great experience for your family, for them to have all that music. Seeing Green Day back then and they're still around. They just released another album.
Yeah. When I was after Hope 91 to 94 in Kalamazoo, I worked at a music store that was a Ticketmaster outlet back in the day where you used to camp out to get tickets.
Oh, yeah.
But all the outlets, we'd get free tickets to shows. So we saw a lot of shows in the Kalamazoo area at the State Theater, Wing Stadium, you get Lansing, you get all these. And we just kind of divided it up between all the people working. So you got to see amazing shows that you didn't know anything about. Like 9 Inch Nails, Trent Reznor, I saw in 91 before he did Lollapalooza, which I also went to. And I didn't know he was. And I shook his hand. as like a backstage thing. I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm like,
Okay.
I'm going to go see this group. Who is this? Sun 60? Don't know. Great melodies. So I just got exposed to so much. The Kalamazoo area, Kalamazoo, Lansing, Grand Rapids was such a huge music mecca in the 80s and 90s. Like you didn't have to go anywhere to see great stuff.
They came to you.
I saw, Foster and Pops when they were in Kalamazoo. And then when I moved here, they were out at the Rooster. And I'm like, what are you guys doing here? Like, you fill Rick's in Lansing and Kalamazoo, and you're at the Rooster in Whitehall. And they're like, well, we're from here. I'm like, whoa, wait, what? Like, I just moved here. Because I had met them a couple of times there. And so we kind of connected. I was like, you're from what? How does this even work? So, yeah, it was going to see music is such a big part. My wife and I go to the Broadway, the musicals abroad. We just love live entertainment, the talent. We go watch the Old Brand Boys. We go see Tommy. We go, just amazing talent.
Yeah.
Like the fan club on Monday nights all summer long. If people don't go to that, they're crazy. That is just incredible talent. People come in. We love it. We just like to sit there and sing along.
Yep.
I'm as much a consumer as I am I'm not really a producer, but as a entertainer.
Yeah.
But I'd love to consume it also.
Yeah, so on that, talking about, the people in our local community in White Lake, we have something special here, and that's why we are doing this podcast, because we noticed just the love of local live music around here. It's a small area, we live in a small town, but there's so much to do still. Talk about some of those, you go out and you play, but you also are going to go watch these people, talk about those venues and the people that you're going to see in our area.
We played last Friday night, and a gentleman came up who had just come in for a drink at Sawyer's, and he stayed for 2.5 hours. And he said, your harmonies are amazing. I'm like, well, that's cool. That's not what the point of this statement is. But he said, he goes, I'm from San Diego, and the music scene in the White Lake area is better than all of San Diego. And I was like, yeah, because, the outdoor at Fetch in the summer is just that whole, when they closed off the road, such a wonderful move. That place is packed.
Yep.
North Grove is great. That big open area. Sawyer's, we have a lot of fun. We played at the pub when the Chamber was open. We kind of were like a house band. We'd play like every 4 or 5 months back. But you go anywhere. It's really cool. The Tuesday shows in Montague where is Tuesday the band show? Is that the band show in the summer? Yes.
Yep, in the summer.
Different groups playing there. It's very fun. And that's all free, guys. Yes, you just can show up. And that's the amazing thing. Coming from Kalamazoo area, when I was old enough, everything, well, it's a $10 cover, it's a $5 cover. It's like, welcome.
Yep.
Like, wait,
come on
this
in.
doesn't cost anything. This is free, and all I have to do is, oh wait, I don't even have to buy a drink. I can drink water.
Yep.
It's incredible what's available here for people that want to see it. You have the Smiths, you have Foster, Tommy, you have Dave Burrell, all of that. Where do you want to go see them? What are you in the mood for tonight? Are you in the mood for the folky Americana, which is Tommy, and you're like, okay, this is going to be amazing? Are you going to go see like the Oat Brand Boys walking around somewhere? Do you want just good old, danceable rock and roll? Well, I'll go see Dave Burrell. Do you want Mike Snell, who's in our group? Do I want to listen to somebody who sounds exactly like John Denver and then sing these incredible songs with an unbelievable voice? Well, I'm going to go see him somewhere.
Yep.
You're just like, what do you feel like doing?
Yeah.
And that's why this is cool, because the White Lake area is very strange.
It is.
And the concerts, the Playhouse, which I've left out, which so many cool bands come in there.
Yeah, just that venue is
that venue.
This little area is amazing.
Yeah, we went. So was that We Banjo 3? Was that last year? I think the year before, when they were that. That was my first time seeing him. Incredible. Billy Strings was here when he was just getting started.
Yeah.
Rich Houdeman used to produce shows. He would bring in Delilah DeWild, and he, all these acts he just is in touch with it, just to introduce it to White Lake. Such an experience at various places, and so many opportunities to see incredible musicians.
Yeah. So with we have all of that, and then there's also Walk the Beat that we have now also. So I think that's a great thing that we have. Did you attend that?
Yes, we've played
Yeah.
all the years. Was
Yeah.
it 3 years? No,
3 years in the White Lake
yes,
area.
we've done it. We've done it 3. We were at the Maple, whatever the hotel is across
Oh,
from.
yep. In Whitehall.
Right
Yep.
there.
Yep.
And then we've been at Peekadills, and then we were right down at the Chamber this year, right on the sidewalk, which was a new one, playing next
Yeah.
to a road between a sidewalk. But the people walking by, they just stop it. It's such a cool event. So many people out and about, and just cool. I haven't got to experience it yet because I'm playing
Did
in
you
it.
play the whole?
Well, we did it, but when you're not playing, this year you just played one set, but the other years you played an hour, you were off an hour, you played an hour. So you
Yeah.
didn't really have
I
time.
really liked it how they arranged it this year.
It worked out better for the musicians
Yeah.
the way it was that way. But I had a golf, I had to play golf in the morning. So I couldn't go watch anyone else, but I want to meander more to see people.
It's super fun to do. I mean, this year, I almost said last year, but this year was like a gorgeous day.
Oh,
so I mean, it just
not
added
too hot.
to it. Yeah,
it was
perfect.
very nice.
I mean,
it was
we were
fantastic.
able to walk all around Whitehall, walk down to the Chamber, walk right to Montague. Just walk the whole thing. Didn't get too hot. Gorgeous day. So if you've never attended, make sure you attend that.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
amazing.
absolutely a blast. And the feet on the street also.
Yes.
The one back here. We've done
Yep.
that. Jeez. We've done that. We have a blast with that, and that's a really cool, this year had a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like the first year, it's like anything. First year, okay. Second year, oh, this is getting serious. Third year,
Blowing
there's
up
a
a little
lot. And then
Yeah.
all the great restaurants in town are all down there. It's such a community event. It's so
Yeah, I
cool.
think that's a big part of it too. Is just, we have those venues. We've got the restaurants. We have venues that sometimes have food, sometimes don't. Bring food in from somewhere else. We don't care. Just come sit down and have fun.
Yeah, come and sit down and experience. And it's a White Lake thing.
Yep,
It's
it really
Whitehall,
is.
Montague. It's like, okay, I'm going to go have dog and suds, and then I'm going to have something from Gnarly Heifer, and then I'm going
Yeah.
to grab something from Hanson Hill, and then okay, what else am I going to
It's
get?
another thing. You got to pick those choices. What do I want to listen to tonight, and where do I want to eat?
That it's a cool, my wife and I were pointing out last week. Right now, it's like restaurant mecca in Whitehall. We've been dying for a while. When you
Yeah.
lose Crosswinds and you lose Lakeside, and all these, and then all of a sudden now, the Stony Ridge and the new Hanson Hill and what Jimmy Z's at what used to be Big Cat.
Yep, good.
And the food in North Grove and the Dog and Suds and the stuff they're
now
doing
Fetch
now at
has
Sawyer's, and now Fetch has food. And
Yep.
it's like yes.
Yeah, no,
So,
it's pretty amazing. And
my-
when I leave here around 5 at night, our parking lot's packed, with Hanson.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go home. I live in Montague. The new Stony is just
Oh
packed.
yeah, great food.
yeah.
Great food.
And it's just great for our area.
I know. I love it. We support. We're very local eaters.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do chains, except for one, Buffalo Wild Wings, because for some odd reason we're addicted. But that's like once every 2 or 3 months. We eat around here all the time.
Yeah.
Like everyone who owns a restaurant is going to know us, and that's how we've always kind of done it. And my grandparents were here, my aunt and uncle were here, and they always ate out. And they always ate local. So my family's been that way. The villa on Sunday mornings from when it started. Not when it started, but when we were younger,
Yeah.
with our younger kids, loved it.
So taking a bit of a turn here, what are some of your musical influences? I know you said a lot of shows you've gone to.
It's evolved and expanded. I told whenever students would listen, I said, "You're a musical snob right now because you will argue about a band that you hate, but you love this band, but they're the same band." So as
We all did it.
Exactly. Now I understood it, and I was like, okay. So younger, very alternative, like the REM, New Order, the college radio is what it would be.
Yeah.
And that's evolved. I hated everything that had to do with country music. I just thought it was the dumbest thing ever. I'm like, oh my God, it's twangy, it's annoying. Fast forward a few years or whatever. So now in our band, we sing what our voice fits. So
Yeah.
I would love to sing Green Day. I would love to sing all this. My voice fits Zach Brown Band and some of the 80s stuff like the band or 70s stuff like the band and things like that. So I learned it. And so now, it just keeps expanding. I will listen to anything. I love singer-songwriter stuff. Ryan Bingham and Sturgill Simpson, and whatever his name is today, what he decides to have, Johnny Blue Sky. But then, younger Taylor Swift, fun music. But then we'll do the David Gray. I still do Green Day. The other day I was sitting around, I'm like, you know what? I haven't listened to Candlebox in a while.
Yeah.
And I threw that on. I'm like, oh, I've forgotten about this.
Those memories that bring
Yes.
back
And all of a
to-
sudden something links to something else.
Yep.
So it's so anything that makes me feel good, I like. So it can be from, just a singer-songwriter, Elle King, she's so fun right now, to Brandy Carlisle, because that voice is it just rings through you. Then I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to some Social Distortion because I want 4-piece rock and roll. So the long answer to the short question is I listen to just about anything.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Except I'm not a new rap guy, but I like Eminem. His new stuff is fun. Like, it's hilarious.
Going back to the roots.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine. I agree. We last Friday, after everything was done for the day at the office, everybody kind of hung around for a little bit after work, and we sat at our little kitchen area. And Brent, who is our managing partner at CatchMark, he just brings up a couple playlists. We're just going through them and talking about music together, and it was like the funnest hour after work ever because we're all just like, yeah, I'd play this now, and then like it does that where we heard a song and we're like, oh, now I want to listen to this.
Oh, you remember when we heard this song, we were with this, or we were on the way to, or we were doing, and then you play like a whole, collection of them. In my classroom, I used to do something called Flashback Fridays, where when we were done with everything for the week, I would play songs because I had a massive library of songs. Like,
I bet.
it's stupid how many CDs, records, and then files I have.
Now you don't even need any.
You can get extra credit if you know the band, if you know the name of the song, or if you can tell me a movie it's in. And so there were kids who were like, and some of the quietest kids during the day, I would play some. They're like, that's the band. That's this. That's the Beatles. That's Led Zeppelin. That's
their time to
that's
shine.
The Who. And you're coming in. I'm like, your parents did well. Like, they raised you. And the kids would have a blast. I'm like, you don't want to do this. Sit in the back of the room. We're gonna have fun up here. And I still have students that say, I loved Flashback Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got in trouble for the whole extra credit thing. I'm like, whatever. Somebody narked on me, but
I mean, really, everybody has a shot. You gave, a wide variety of choices with the movie or the, you could be into movies, not music.
and I
still
could
know this song.
I would play whatever the current thing was to back Beatles.
Kept it fair.
Kept it fair. I covered all genres.
Yep.
And then there was the kid who came in and he had a black shirt on that said AC/DC. I'm like, you're probably going to win this because if you're wearing that to school, you at least know something about music and go from there.
These days, I don't know though. My kids both want, shirts with the band names, and they have no clue usually.
Yeah.
So.
It's watching my children grow up, having them not understand what a record was. I'm like, it's the whole thing. You listen to side A, you flipped it to side B, then you had a cassette. Like, they just know songs. And then to be able to instantaneously experience all forms of music right now is all of us that are in the generation where I am, 40s, 50s, and you couldn't do that.
No.
You couldn't go, oh, what's ska? And then boom, there's a whole thing. Oh, Mighty Mighty Bosstones. This is cool. You had to be somewhere.
Yeah.
And
know somebody.
It's incredible what I would bring up stuff in class, and the kid's like, oh yeah, that's this person. I'm like, how do you know that? Like, where did that? Oh, my dad did it, and I heard it. I thought it was kind of cool, so then I did this, and then my mom said, I was like, oh, okay, good.
Yeah, it's different from our days of listening to the radio, waiting for that song, hitting the record button to try to get it on our cassette tape.
Yeah.
A little different now.
For consumers, it's the best. Artist is interesting. Mike has 3 albums out. And every time it spins on Pandora, he's like, I get 0.007 cents every time one of my songs spins. I'm like, sweet, that's so cool.
Rolling in that dough.
He's rolling in that dough, 0.00 or whatever it is. And he says it might be just 0.07. I'm like, oh, yeah. Got his check for $38 last year. I think it's more than that, but I always tease him. I'm like, you just made 37.
That next tax bracket,
Yes, because that's where musicians are aiming, is the next text bracket.
Yep,
like, ooh.
So what's that creative process of yours? I know you kind of said that, with the educators, you're booking a lot, but I'm sure all of you are part of that creative process.
We try to pick songs that feature the variety of the abilities that are in the group, the educators. And if it's not there, we will add it. Like, Michael just added a banjo on Listen to the Music by the Doobie Brothers. We have a banjo on it because Mike's like, I think this fits. And we're like, weirdly, that does. And we did I Can't Go For That by Hall & Oates. But instead of a guitar solo, two guys got on kazoos. They're like, this would be cool. So our creative process is, what's fun, slightly different? What's a different way to arrange this? What can we harmonize here that hasn't been done before? What can we add? What instrument? There are songs we strip down to very little.
Yeah.
The Lumineers' Angela, Tony Jarvis sings it. It's unbelievable. But very little means there's still a violin in the background, and then there's a six string that's just kind of noodling behind it, and then but it's just not overtaking it. So it's a lot of, because everyone in the group is so incredibly creative. They'll be like, you know what? I could just do this. And times will be like, that's awesome. Or times like, nope. You know what? There needs to be space there. My personal thing is what's fun and I've always been on, well, let's give it a shot. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? I mean,
right.
Let's throw this out here. And people are like,
well, I think that's the big part. When you say flipping up a guitar solo for kazoos, like as an audience, like how amazing is that?
Well, we hope it was good.
You might be that person that's sitting there, maybe not listening as much, just like enjoying your own company, but then that happens. You're not going to get somebody that doesn't look.
People were laughing and then clapping. So right when it started, there was some laughter.
A lot of emotions going on.
And then at the end, people are like, yeah. When we did the horns for Wanted Dead or Alive, Dave Hunt wrote this incredible horn piece. And then Morgan Hare, who was Morgan Mateer, she's part of the Grand Valley Brass Quartet, she put it into like 5 parts. So we had a horn section for Dead or Alive. Mm-hmm. And when we got done, a bunch of people yelled from, that's the best we've ever heard that. And it was, hey, let's give it a shot. So our creative is it cool? Does it sound cool to us? Well, if it is, because we're all also the consumer part, let's give it a shot. Yeah. Let's try it. We pulled in stuff before, like a cello to do a One Republic song, and then we all went, and no. That's not going to work. That's just not going to work. You got to go for it. You have to go for it. You have to. But that's, we kind of refer to ourselves as like, our band is like Michigan weather. If you don't like it, wait 5 minutes. There's going to be, because everyone is a lead singer. Except for Colin, the drummer, who can sing well, but refuses to. There will be a different lead singer because you sing your style. Mm-hmm. There will be a different genre. We'll go from the Eagles Acoustic Hotel California to a Johnny Cash song, to Merle Haggard, to Houndmouth, to Green Day, to, and then we'll pull in as, Zach Brown Band, and then we'll do the Doobie Brothers. And so it's you're going to
find something you like.
There's going to be something, you might be like, I didn't like that, but this was really cool. They did it. We did an Alabama trio. Mm-hmm. We put 3 songs together. And I had never listened to Alabama. Like, I didn't know that. I had to listen to it so much. Everyone's like, you don't know this song? I'm like, no. Really fun to play. A blast to sing, because that's in my range. Yeah. So I got to sing it. I'm like, well, this is kind of cool. And my wife's like, I told you. I'm like, I'm sorry, you were right. My bad.
You got to listen to her.
She will. We'll practice in the basement, and we'll be trying something. And all of a sudden, she'll poke her head in. You guys aren't really going to do that, are you? We're like, no.
We're just trying it out.
Like, if it sounds terrible through a floor and a room over above us.
Okay, cross that one out.
We're gonna cross. We're gonna negate that one. But she's not mean about it. She'll be like, no, I know your sound. That's not good.
Yeah.
But we're all very good. Let's say if you come in, you want to sing a song, and you start singing it. We'll be like, song's great, but not with you singing. Yeah. And none of us. Okay, who's singing it then? Because I want to do this song. I love this song.
Yeah.
But who fits best, and then it goes from there. And so that's a really cool part of our group, is there outwardly is not the ego.
Yeah.
I dream those. I'm like, I want to do this song. I'm like, let me do this. I know I'm going to sound bad. I'm like, no.
Not for me.
So but I'm like, and then they'll sing it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's really good. Like, so that
You gotta
helps.
take that win if you still get to play the song.
Exactly. And as a group, we're really good about that. Like
Yeah.
There's just not that tension, which is great. Like, I have to sing this song. No, you don't. Then we're not doing it because
we're doing what's best for
people are going to
sound.
cry. Someone's going to need a therapist. Like, I'm going to have to call 911 because you sound like someone's killing a cat. So
You guys own it though. That's so what have been some of the challenges and then on the other side rewards of what you do?
anytime, and I think anyone would tell you this when you get on stage and everything just sounds exactly the way you hoped it had. And people, you see them singing and they're nodding and they're clapping and they're smiling and you feel it. Super cool. On stage, when I'm surrounded by these incredibly talented human beings and we start playing something and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, you can feel it. And Mike Snell has it best. You feel it in your chest when it's all right.
I was just going to ask, what is that feeling?
The first time we ever did Seven Bridges Road, we did it in 6 parts. And I'm on stage going, this is the coolest thing ever. Because we worked so hard on every part of the harmonies. I don't hear harmonies. I sound like a coyote trying to. I do now. I do better now. But some of those guys, like Tony Jarvis, would just be like, I'm going to do this. Dave Hunt here, Mike's here, Renee's here, Kurt Heisinger. And I'm like, well, we'll sing these 2 notes. And you guys move around. And but then we're up on stage. And I'm like, wow, this is. So that from the performing standpoint is amazing. Going in, I was delivering after one show, I was delivering money, just cash to the food pantry. And I just would walk in and drop cash. I'm like, peace. They're like, who's this from? I'm like, that's the educators. And I walk away and I'm like, but somebody said, you guys, you're like a third of our budget at the time. Like, and to know that, and then they presented us, the first 10,000 we made, they presented us a guitar, like a cut out of wood that Mr. Artema had made and Doug Artema had made. And, that kind of stuff it's awesome. It's very, from knowing that for us to just get up and play on stage, and I mean literally music and just have fun play, that people are helped out, local people are helped, that's really a cool outreach.
Yeah.
The challenges of the marketing or the creating it or that to me is it's just coaching. I'm just getting all the parts in the same spot and okay, what's this? So it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
Let the talent, which is literally I'm surrounded by incredible talent. Let the talent do its job. I'll do my job. I'll get up. I'll tell jokes. I'll fill the dead space on stage because while they're thinking about all the crazy stuff they're going to play, I'm playing a bass guitar. There's 4 strings on it. I'm not Rich King. I'm not those guys. So it's a little simpler. So Kurt Heisinger and he plays the bongos because they're like, okay, you two idiots, you can't screw these 2 things up too bad. So we're throwing jokes back and forth. We're filling the dead. We're making fun of, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just fun. So we get to play while we play, and then we help people. Mm-hmm. And we're all local people. So I don't know which kid in my classroom, his parents might have been there getting the food. I don't care. Did he get food? Then awesome. That's great. Did we help out at Christmas? Did we help out at Thanksgiving? Did we help out? For me, that's massive. To have my son playing behind me for all those years as the drummer, incredible. Like there's your rock and roll dream. Like I'm on stage playing and look back like my son's like, yeah, this is great.
Living the dream.
Yes, that's pretty much what it was. It's what it still is, actually.
So advice for local musicians, other aspiring ones. Do you have any for them?
I don't know because I so ran the line. I just was dragged by mic places and taught how to be a performer like that. If I was going to give advice, I would say that when you start out play stuff that that you're happy playing and you see the people happy playing, you know, and don't be afraid to just go and start.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the hardest thing. I mean, it's
Take
just
that
getting
step.
that step. I have some former, like, Troy Cayley plays now, which is great. He's a former player of mine. So I get to go watch a former player singing and playing, which is cool. I mean, if you go see, I'll just take Tommy Foster because I'm such a huge fan of his. If you go see him and you think, well, I will never be able to do that. I mean, that man is absolutely and utterly incredible. Start out, just be you. You're going to be all right. Practice it, but realize Tommy Foster is a incredible act all the way around. Like the showmanship, the music, the musicality, the instrument. Just relax a little bit.
Yeah.
You're never, music, you're always practicing because you're never there.
Yeah. Tommy's didn't happen overnight.
No. But, you know, it's just to have fun with it. You know, give it a shot. Go out, sing something there's a venue here for your style of music. Whatever you do, there's a venue in the White Lake area. They'll be like, yeah, sure, come on out.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, one of the coolest things we have is the open mic nights. I mean, I think that's where they need to start. You need to start out at those. That's, you know, you just go.
See what people think.
Exactly. And you're going to be amongst your people. They're all in the same boat at that.
And if, as somebody says it, you kind of listen but you listen with a grain of salt. Like, hey, you know what? Your sounded really good on these songs. Pay attention to that. Like, well, you know, I don't think this song fits your voice. And okay, I may listen to that a little bit and I'll pay attention. Like, how does that sound? What Mike Snell always told me is record yourself and listen, and keep recording yourself and listening. Hearing yourself the first time is horrifying. It's like, in my head, it sounds so much better than that. But then I would do that. I'm like, okay, I need to work on this enunciation, and that tone is super nasally, and I need to do something because I sound like Jennifer Nettles at the end of a sentence where she'd go, "Wah," and I'm like, no, I got to stop that. So I don't know. I don't know if I have any great advice.
I think that was great advice.
Okay.
I think that's where people need to hear it. I think you know it usually, like, you know, of course you don't want to give up. If it's your dream or something you want to do as even a hobby, you don't want to give up at it, but people do need to hear that. Like, don't give up.
Or do the lazy way like I did and find some really talented people and just force yourself to hang out and organize it for them. And they're like, well, I guess he can play with us.
Yeah, follow somebody around if you need to. It's okay.
It's probably cheating, but it worked.
Yep,
it worked. I have fun.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's part of it too. Just have fun. So looking ahead, you know, for you musically, your groups, what's coming ahead for you guys in the next year, essentially at this point?
Well, we're working on, in August, the big group, the full-on playing at the big rodeo up at Double J. We've been talking with them. Hopefully, it doesn't work. I mean, everything. We have our small group, the Substitutes. We're all around. I know we're at St. Patrick's Day at Sawyer's, and we've got some other dates. And Tony Jarvis, who's in the group, he plays around at various spots. Mike Snell's all over the place. So it's like everybody's got their own projects, and then we come together as a medium group, and then like, okay, we're pulling out the guns. Let's everybody show up with all 20 instruments.
We all had an open day.
we're all going to be here on this, or at least there's 8 of the 9 of us, or 7 of the 9 of us. Like, we can make that work. We'll just do this song, and this song. You don't play guitar on that. You're going to play this on that. And those guys can all do that. And they look at me, you're going to play bass on this. I'm like, yes, that's that. That's what we're talking about. I might get a triangle out once in a while, really expand my abilities.
Hold it up.
So stuff like that. Small group to big group, people are all around from the educators.
So do you have social media at all?
We have the Facebook page for those people of the age that want to look at Facebook.
So if you're our age, you can go on Facebook.
We have and it has the educator stuff. And I know Tony Jarvis has a Facebook page. Mike Snell has a Facebook page. So the Substitutes, the small group, we have a page.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Renee might manage that because I don't have a lot to do with that part. But yes, we have various things that we'll say, and we'll post that.
Post when you play. And
we'll post exactly when we play.
Right. Yeah. So we can find you there.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining.
No, thank you. Brian. This is great to highlight all of the talent that's in this area. I mean, the people. go out, just go see someone. It's going to be worth it. Even, going and watching Thielman play at the Book Nook on a Tuesday afternoon. Yep. Incredible.
Get that piano.
So cool. So
exceptional.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure getting to know you and your musical journey. Stay tuned for more episodes of the Local Musician Spotlight on CatchMark Community. I'm Amy Youngman. See you next time.